Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Curtis, and today I'm going to do a review for Zatima Season 4, Episode 3. Alright, so the episode starts off with Zach. He's trying to get his arm from underneath Fatima, so unfortunately, when she fell asleep on his arm. So he's trying to get it out so he can leave, but she does wake up and she's like, "Where are you going?" And he's like, "I need to actually go to the office." And she's like, "Why do you need to go to the office? We have company coming over." And he's like, "Well, Preston actually reached out to me and said that it's possible that he may have a deal on the table. So I need to go to the office to talk to him, talk to Bryce, just to make sure everything is okay." Fatima's like, "But it's a Saturday. Like, are you sure you have to go into the office?" And I was like, "Fatima, if you don't let this man go into the office so he can work and get this money, like, Fatima, chill out. I know that you are pregnant. You want him to be there by your side throughout the entire time. I get it. But let this man go to work and get some money." She tells him that this is some bullshit and that she doesn't like it. And she also says that she feels like he is not going to be back in time. But the thing is, he's meeting with Bryce and Preston, who are both going to be at the event that she has coming up later on. So I don't really see how she felt like he wouldn't be there on time, considering the fact that the people who he's meeting with are actually going to be at the potluck later on that night. So I didn't really get that part. He tells her that he is going to be back in town. Don't worry, don't stress about it. And then the two of them, they get into this little back and forth about the fact that Fatima snores. She's like, "What are you talking about? I do not snore." He's like, "Oh, you don't?" She's like, "No, I don't." So Zach decides to pull his phone out and he actually showed her a video of her snoring. So he actually recorded her while she was asleep. And she was like, "Oh, so you're recording me now?" He was like, "I needed you to know how bad you snoring." And y'all, it was bad. I mean, we're going to blame the pregnancy and the baby on this one, but she was snoring really badly. And she was like, "Oh, okay, well, you got that? Okay, well, let me show you what I have." And so she actually has a picture of him drooling. And so she's like, "You know what, since you want to say I snore, will you drool?" He was like, "You need to delete that." And she's like, "No, I'm not going to delete this." And I was like, "Well, it is kind of hard to sleep with your mouth closed. So I can see why he would drool, but it was kind of like a little fun back and forth. The two of them then start talking about the potluck, so that's the event that's happening a little bit later on. And Zach is concerned because he feels like somebody's going to put raisins inside of like some of the food, even as far as like the gumbo that Preston was talking about making. I was like, "Ew, not raisins inside of food." Zach ends up going to the office. Bryce comes in. He's like, "Hey, how's your Saturday? How's everything going?" He's like, "Well, I'm having a conversation with you, so that pretty much explains how it's going." And he's like, "What do you want?" And he's like, "Well, I actually came just to make sure that the potluck is still happening." He's like, "Yeah, it's still happening." And then he inquires about the food. So he's like, "What are you bringing?" Because remember, he's concerned that somebody's going to put raisins inside the food. And he's like, "Oh, I'm not actually bringing any food. I'm just bringing wine." He's like, "Why are you not bringing food?" And he's like, "Well, it was my understanding that black people do not trust other people's cooking," which is true. And Zach is like, "Well, I mean, that is true, but not in this particular situation because I personally invited you to the potluck, which means that I want to eat the food that you make." The two of them continue to go back and forth, and then Bryce brings up Angela. And during this conversation, this is when Zach decides that he wants to provide some type of guidance to Bryce as far as, how to set Angela straight, how to put her in her place, how to let her know that, he's a man. And this scene, it was nothing but filler, to be honest with you. Like, I get, like, the overall goal and everything like that, but this was pretty much filler. And then also, when it comes to Bryce, like, I do like him as a character at some points, but I just feel like a lot of times, like the person who's writing this, I don't believe that Tyler Perry is actually writing this particular season. I think it's somebody else. But whoever's writing it, I feel like they have this thing where it's like they kind of want to embarrass Bryce. I feel like the ultimate goal is to kind of have this whole "we are not laughing with you, we are laughing at you" thing. And I think that's one of the biggest issues I have with Bryce's character. It felt like this part of the scene was just going on, and I was just like, can we either just transition to another scene or can somebody come in and just save the day? And I looked down for a second, I look up, and I saw Preston, and I said, "Thank God." Preston walks into the office and tells him that he wants to talk to him about a commercial space that will be available soon. He tells him that it is a strip mall in Alpharetta, Georgia, and while it's not currently on the market, he does have connects in place where they can kind of talk to the people who currently own it and they may be able to get to it before it's actually put on the market. And so Zach and Bryce are like, "Okay, cool, this is great, let's do this." But Preston's like, "You know what, I'm going to be honest with you all, we may have some hurdles." And they're like, "What kind of hurdles?" He was like, "Well, the biggest hurdle is going to be the fact that you two are minorities." And I was like, "Oh, wow, I didn't even think about that." And so Bryce is like, "Minorities? Like, are you saying that they are going to be like racist towards us, like they're going to discriminate against us?" And both Preston and Zach was like, "Probably so. I mean, that's just how it goes, especially in the retail game." So Preston's like, when it comes to this particular situation, we may have to throw a little bit more on there, maybe bid a little bit higher than somebody else normally would. And Bryce was like, I mean, do we have the capital for that? And Zach was like, yeah, we do. So it's like, okay, well, let's do it. We go back to the house and we see Fatima. She's coming inside. She has a bunch of groceries in her hand. And Angela calls her and she's like, hey, what's going on? And she was like, I'm trying to get dinner ready for the potluck tonight. So I'm actually going to cook for Zach, Preston, and Bryce. And so it becomes clear that she's overwhelmed. So Angela's like, what do you want me to do? You need me to come help? And she's like, really, you'll come? She's like, yeah. She's like, I mean, I'm going to be over there anyways because Bryce invited me to be his date. And Fatima's like, what did you say? What happened? Bryce did what? He invited you? And she was like, oh, you didn't know? She was like, no, I didn't know. And I was like, Fatima, is it that serious just for one other person to come? Like, I'm pretty sure you have enough food to make one more plate. Like, come on now, Fatima. Why are you doing all that? As the two of them are talking, she gets another call, and it turns out to be Zach. So she's like, hey, I need to go. I need to speak to him real quick. So she gets on the phone with Zach, and she immediately starts going off, like, why didn't you tell me that Bryce was bringing Angela? Like, what's wrong with you? And he was like, oh, my God. Like, I planned to tell you. Like, I didn't know that you were going to find out this quick. Like, I was just about to tell you. And she's like, you know what? It's cool. It's fine. She's going to come and help out anyway, so it's all good. We go over to Belinda's house, and the first thing that we see are toenail clippings. And I was like, this is just trifling, nasty, ghetto, disgusting, and ignorant. The camera pans out and we see that it's actually Nathan that's clipping his toenails. And then next thing you know, we see Belinda. She comes rushing down the steps. And she's like, look, Nathan, it's time for you to go. He's like, what are you talking about? She said, it's time for you to leave. He was like, I've only been here for a couple of days. Like, don't you like it when I'm here full time? And she's like, look, I like it when you are here. It's cool or whatever. But it's time for you to go home to your wife. And he's like, I can't do that. She was like, why not? He was like, because if I go home to my wife, I'll be forced to work on my marriage. And I said, excuse me? What did he say? He said, yeah, if I go home, I'm going to be forced to work on my marriage. And who wants to do that? And Belinda's like, look, I don't give a fuck about none of that. It's time for you to go. So Nathan, he doesn't go home, but he does go to the barbershop and he does talk to Tony and Tyrone. And he's like, hey, Belinda actually kicked me out. And then Tyrone's like, look, you just need to go home and face your wife. But Nathan's like, I can't do that because if I go home, I feel like she's going to attack me. I feel like she's going to hit me with the bat or chase me around the house with the bat. So I can't really do that. So he looks at Tony like, can I stay with you? And Tony's like, fuck no, you can't stay with me. Like, absolutely not. Tyrone chimes in and is like, look, what you need to do is you need to go home, put your foot down, fuck her to sleep, and then everything is going to be good. And so Nathan was like, yeah, but you're right, that does make sense. He was like, do you all have a testosterone pill that I can take? And he was like, no, we do not have any of those pills here. He was like, okay, well, what I'll do, I'll go get one of those pills, and then I'll go home. After Nathan leaves the shop, Tony, he starts to get his stuff together as if he's getting ready to leave. Tyrone notices this, and he's like, what's going on? Where are you going? And Tony's like, look, I'm not really trying to talk about that right now. I just need you to close the shop. And so initially Tyrone is like, okay, cool, I'll see you later. But then he's like, wait a minute, let me talk to you real quick because I feel like something is off. And he's like, is everything okay? Is everything good? And he's like, yeah, everything is good, but it's clear that everything is not good with Tony. Tyrone is like, look, I put my neck on the line to make that situation go away. The last thing I need for you to do is to fold on me. And Tony's like, listen, I'm not going to fold on you. Like, that is not going to happen. And he's like, yeah, but I feel like you are going to say or do something that's going to land us both in jail. And Tony's like, I'm not going to do that, but when it comes to this particular situation, I feel some type of guilt. And it's like, why do you feel some type of guilt? Like it was self-defense. He was like, yeah, it was self-defense, but I still took somebody's life. And so he's like, wait a minute, hold on. Like, why are you talking so loud? Because there are customers inside of the shop. So it's like, chill out. Like, this is what I was talking about earlier when I said I feel like you're going to say something that's going to cause us to go to jail. Like, why are you talking so openly about the fact that you took somebody's life in front of these people? Like, calm down. We go back to the house and we see Fatima. She's in the kitchen and she is cooking, right? So Fatima, she actually lifted the lids on some of the pots. And when I say there was no steam or anything coming out, I was just like, Tyler. You couldn't have put some water in the pot so it could appear as if she was really cooking. Like, come on now, Tyler. You ain't shit for that. Zach comes in the house and he has a bunch of bags. And so Fatima's like, oh, great, you got the seasoning that I need. He was like, maybe I did, maybe I didn't. And so she looks into the bag and he actually got a bunch of seasoning, but unfortunately he didn't get the one that she wanted. And so it appeared as if they were getting ready to get into an argument. But Zach is like, listen, just relax, calm down. You are pregnant, you need to just chill. And she's like, I know, but I want to really get this done for you guys. And he's like, it's okay, it's fine, just relax, please. And so while they are, talking, have a conversation, Fatima does bring up Angela. And this is when Zach tells her that he had Bryce set her straight. And she's like, what are you talking about? Set her straight. He was like, I gave him some guidance on how to be a man and how to tell Angela what it is because I'm tired of her using him. And she was just like, what? He was like, yeah, like, I don't like the fact that Angela not only uses Bryce, but Angela also uses other men. Like, why are you even okay with that? For me, it's like this. Angela, she's very upfront about what it is when it comes to these guys, especially when we look at a person like Sean, we look at a person like Bryce. So she says what it is up front. So it's really up to them to decide if that's something that they want to put up with. And then also, when we talk about the whole using thing, the same way that Angela uses them for dick is the same way that they use her for pussy. So to me, I feel like it kind of evens itself out. And speaking of Angela and Bryce, they actually arrive, and we see that Angela actually brought a pot of spaghetti. And so she says, hey, you know what, since I was invited last minute, and also since you did not know that I was coming, I actually decided to make a pot of spaghetti. And Fatima was like, oh, thank you, I appreciate it. And then Zach, he's looking over at Bryce like, what's going on? Like, she's getting a little slick. I thought we had a conversation in which you were going to set her straight. And so this was a time that Bryce decided that he wanted to try to set her straight. And it was just like, man, what is going on here? What is going on here? He was just like, look, I bought the ingredients and I get this and I get this and I get to do this and that. And Angela's like, who the hell are you talking to? And he's like, who the hell are you talking to? And I was just like, oh my God. No. So after that failure, that's what I'm going to call it, a failure, Preston actually arrives. And then next thing you know, we see Deja come in. And they were like, Deja, what are you doing here? You know Fatima don't fuck with you. Like, what's going on? And then Preston's like, oh, she's my date. They were like, yo, what? He was like, yeah, Deja is my date. And Deja, listen, let me just say this. Deja, she is a beautiful woman. She's very loud, but she is definitely beautiful. So I can see how Preston would want to, possibly want to be with her. And Fatima, she walks around the counter. She was like, look, Zach, you need to do something or I will. And then it cuts off. I was like, oh shit, she about to beat her up. We end up going to the projects and we see Jeremiah. He's smoking, but he's also injecting some drugs inside of his body. And then he starts to call for his mom, like, mama, mama. And Jeremiah, I know that he has done a lot of bad things, but I actually felt kind of bad for him and his mom. He's just like, Mama, where are you? Where are you? Where are you? And then Gladys actually appears. She's like, here I am, baby. And then the show ends. I want to thank you all for watching. I really do appreciate it. And also, I want to apologize for the delays when it comes to the videos. I know I used to just release videos like the day of or the day after, but now it's a couple of days. And so I do apologize about that. I do plan to get episode 4 up today as well, so just look forward to that. But that is everything I have. If you could, please like, comment, share, subscribe. It would be great. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.